First Contact Protocol. Chief Evaluator Zixtal stared at the holographic display floating before her, all 6 of her eyes blinking in rapid succession. The data couldn't be correct. She adjusted her crystalline sensory appendages and scanned the information again. Administrator Veranon. She called to her assistant, her voice resonating with harmonics of distress. Please verify these planetary readings. There must be an error in our instruments. The willowy figure of Veranon glided across the bridge of the evaluation vessel, his translucent form shimmering under the ship's ambient lighting. Of course, Chief Evaluator. What seems to be the... His voice trailed off as he absorbed the data. That's impossible. Before them, the blue-green planet designated Sol 3 rotated serenely, completely oblivious to the fact that it violated nearly every principle of habitable world development the Interstellar Coalition had established over 10 millennia of space exploration. Active tectonic plates, Zixtal recited, her voice growing more incredulous with each item. Extreme temperature variations, regular asteroid impacts, constant electromagnetic storms, aggressive viral and bacterial evolution. And yet, she gestured to another display showing signs of civilization. They not only survived, they built a technological society. Veranon's form rippled with confusion. Perhaps they developed underground. Many species choose to avoid surface conditions. No. Zixtal brought up images of sprawling cities, transportation networks, and orbital installations. They built on the surface, in flood zones, near active volcanoes, in regions regularly struck by massive rotating windstorms. They built floating cities on their acidic oceans and research stations in their polar ice caps. But the requirements for First Contact certification clearly state. I know what they state. Zixtal snapped, her professional composure cracking. No species should be approached for evaluation until they've achieved stability on their homeworld. But these humans... She paused, searching for the right words. They achieved stability by becoming unstoppable. The evaluation ship's AI interjected with its melodious voice. Chief Evaluator, I've completed my analysis of human historical records. You may find this relevant. They categorize natural disasters as weather events and geological activities. They study them scientifically rather than viewing them as existential threats. Veranon's transparent form clouded slightly. They don't fear planetary devastation. No, the AI responded. They adapted to it. They created prediction systems, emergency responses, and reconstruction protocols. When their dwellings are destroyed, they rebuild. When their cities flood, they develop better drainage. When earthquakes strike, they engineer buildings that sway with the tremors. Zixtal felt her sensory crystals vibrating with a mixture of horror and fascination, and their response to the Class 7 solar flare that should have ended their civilization 3 local years ago. They treated it as an inconvenience, the AI replied. They shut down vulnerable systems, activated planetary shields they had apparently developed specifically for such events, and continued their daily activities with minimal disruption. Most remarkable was their primary concern, potential interruption to their entertainment broadcasts. Entertainment. Veranon's form became almost completely opaque with shock. During a solar apocalypse? Correct. They created what they called solar flare parties to watch the atmospheric phenomena. Many expressed disappointment when their planetary shields reduced the visual display. Zixtal moved to the observation window, watching the planet rotate below them. Everything she knew about species development, about the natural progression of civilizations, about the very fundamental rules of survival, seemed to shatter in the face of humanity's impossible existence. We have to conduct the evaluation, she finally said. Chief Evaluator. Veranon protested. The standard protocols weren't designed for a species that treats extinction-level events as entertainment opportunities. Zixtal finished for him. No, they weren't. But we have our orders. The Coalition wants Earth evaluated for membership. She turned back to the displays, her crystalline appendages rigid with determination. "Prepare the testing facilities." And Vernon, "Yes, Chief Evaluator. Triple the safety protocols. Something tells me we're about to rewrite every regulation in the evaluation handbook." As their ship began its descent through Earth's turbulent atmosphere, conditions that would have caused most evaluation teams to abort immediately, Zixtal couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't coming to test humanity's readiness for the galaxy. The galaxy needed to prepare itself for humanity. "Chief Evaluator," the AI interrupted her thoughts. "I'm detecting what appears to be a severe tropical storm approaching the designated landing zone. Surely we should redirect to a safer location," Vernon suggested. "No," Zixtal replied, watching as the humans below continued their activities without concern. "We proceed as planned. It's time we learned exactly what we're dealing with." She paused, then added, "But update our insurance coverage. All of it." The storm ahead flashed with lightning that could cripple most starships. In the distance, a volcano belched ash into the sky. And below, humans went about their daily lives as if living on the surface of a perpetual disaster was the most natural thing in the universe. Perhaps, Zixtal realized with growing unease, for them, it was. The trials begin. The evaluation facility's pristine white walls seemed to mock Zixtal as she reviewed the first group of human candidates. They stood before her, 5 of them, looking impossibly at ease in what every other species had described as the most intimidating chamber in known space. "So this is like an intergalactic SAT?" asked Sarah Chen, a quantum physicist who had brought what appeared to be a beverage container labeled coffee. "Cool. I didn't even have to study this time." "These evaluations," Zixtal began, trying to maintain her professional demeanor, "will test your species' ability to handle extreme situations, solve complex problems under pressure, and demonstrate suitable survival instincts for spacefaring civilization." Extreme situations. Marcus Rodriguez, a civil engineer, perked up. "Like that time I had to reinforce a bridge during an earthquake. That was fun. We had to calculate load distributions while everything was shaking." Vernon's transparent form flickered with distress. "You found structural collapse entertaining?" "Well, yeah," Marcus shrugged. "It's not every day you get to apply theoretical mechanics in real time. Plus, we saved the bridge." Zixtal's sensory crystals vibrated with growing concern. "Perhaps we should begin with the basic environmental adaptation test. The chamber will simulate various hostile conditions. Like that survival course I took in Alaska," interrupted Dr. Emma Foster, her eyes lighting up. "We had to build shelters in -40-degree weather. Best vacation ever." "Vacation." Vernon became so transparent he almost disappeared entirely. "You deliberately sought out lethal conditions for recreation." "Of course," Emma replied. "How else do you learn your limits? Though -40 isn't that bad once you get used to it." Zixtal exchanged glances with her assistant. Every species they'd evaluated had required extensive psychological preparation before the trials. These humans were treating it like some sort of amusing diversion. "The first test," she continued desperately, "will assess your response to rapid atmospheric pressure changes." "Oh, like high-altitude mountaineering." This from Dr. James Walker, who had somehow produced a notebook and was sketching what appeared to be equipment designs. "You know, this would make a great training facility for our extreme sports programs." The 5th human, Commander Maria Santos, a space station engineer, nodded enthusiastically. "Definitely. The variable pressure could help prepare astronauts for EVA work. Though you might want to increase the intensity. This looks pretty mild compared to what we deal with on station maintenance." "Mild?" Zixtal's voice cracked. "This chamber replicates conditions that caused the complete psychological collapse of the Zentarian delegation." "Really?" Maria looked around with renewed interest. "Mind if we take some readings? We've been working on improving our emergency protocols, and this might give us some new ideas." "Emergency protocols?" Vernon managed to ask. Sure, James chimed in. We've got protocols for everything. Solar flares, magnetic pole reversals, supervolcano eruptions, standard stuff. Though lately we've been focusing more on asteroid deflection systems. Can't be too prepared, right? Zixtal stared at her datapad, then at the humans, then back at her datapad. The psychological evaluation metrics weren't just useless. They were actively registering excitement and curiosity instead of fear. Very well, she said finally. We'll proceed with the atmospheric pressure test. Please remember that you can terminate the trial at any time if... Hey, does anyone want to place bets on who can last the longest? Sarah interrupted, already pulling out her phone. Loser buys dinner. You're going to compete. Vernon's form rippled with disbelief. Why not? Marcus grinned. It's not every day you get to experience alien survival challenges. Though we should probably record this for our research teams back home. The applications for disaster preparedness training would be amazing. As the humans continued chatting enthusiastically about potential applications for what was supposed to be a traumatic evaluation, Zixtal made a decision. She opened a secure channel to Coalition Command. This is Chief Evaluator Zixtal. We need to dramatically revise our testing protocols. The current parameters are... She paused, watching as the humans began taking selfies in front of the warning signs. The current parameters are insufficient for a species that considers catastrophic conditions to be entertainment opportunities. The Chamber's AI chimed in. Chief Evaluator, the humans are requesting information about booking the facility for what they call the team-building exercise next month. Zixtal's sensory crystals drooped, and they want to bring more humans here. Apparently, they're particularly interested in combining multiple hazardous conditions simultaneously. They called it a premium experience package. As the testing chamber began its pressure cycling sequence, Zixtal watched in amazement as the humans not only endured, but started discussing ways to improve the system's efficiency. They were taking notes, sharing jokes, and treating the whole experience like some sort of scientific field trip. Vernon, she said quietly, I believe we may need to reconsider our definition of survival capability. Her assistant, now barely visible in his distress, could only nod as Sarah Chen started teaching the others something called pressure chamber yoga. The trials had barely begun, and humanity had already broken every evaluation metric they had. Zixtal couldn't help but wonder, what would happen when they reached the really challenging tests? Somehow, she suspected she wasn't going to like the answer. Impossible statistics. The Evaluation Center's data analysis chamber had never been so quiet. Zixtal and a team of the Coalition's top xenobiologists stared at the results displayed before them, their various appendages and sensory organs exhibiting signs of collective shock. Run the numbers again, Zixtal ordered, her crystals pulsing with agitation. The facility's AI responded with its usual calm. This is the 17th iteration, Chief Evaluator. The results remain consistent. The human subjects are not merely surviving the tests. They're actively improving their performance with each attempt. Senior Analyst Krivak, a being composed primarily of neural plasma contained within an environmental suit, rippled with disbelief. But the gravitational stress chamber. They requested higher intensities. Correct, Vernon confirmed, his transparent form still haunted by what he'd witnessed. Dr. Chen claimed it would help with her parkour practice, whatever that means. Commander Santos suggested we add obstacle courses. Obstacle courses. Krivak's neural patterns sparked erratically, in a chamber designed to simulate the gravitational forces of a collapsing star. The display showed footage of the humans treating lethal gravitational variations like some sort of recreational activity. Sarah Chen was teaching James Walker what she called zero breakdancing, while Maria Santos took detailed notes on how to replicate the conditions for space station emergency drills. The endurance statistics are equally concerning, the AI continued. During the extreme temperature trials, Dr. Foster requested we lower the temperature further. She mentioned something about it being perfect conditions for ice climbing practice. Zixtel brought up the psychological monitoring data, though she was beginning to question its relevance. Their stress levels actually decreased during crisis scenarios. How is this possible? It appears to be linked to what they call problem-solving excitement, Vernon explained. The more challenging the situation, the more engaged they become. Marcus Rodriguez spent 3 hours in the chemical hazard chamber just to optimize the ventilation system's efficiency. He what? Krivak's containment suit nearly overloaded from shock. Oh yes, Vernon continued, his form slightly steadier now that he was discussing technical details. He submitted a 20-page report on potential improvements. Apparently, he's dealt with similar challenges while reinforcing structures in active volcanic zones. The room's displays showed multiple angles of the current test in progress. The humans had turned the radiation resistance chamber into what they called a science slam, competing to see who could devise the most innovative shielding solutions while exposed to conditions that should have sent them running in terror. Look at these brain activity patterns, one of the junior analysts noted. During critical decision-making scenarios, their neural efficiency actually increases under pressure. It's as if they evolved specifically to function in crisis conditions, Zixtel finished. Because they did. Their entire planet is one continuous survival test. The AI interrupted with new data. Chief Evaluator, I feel compelled to report that the humans have started a collaborative document they're calling Cool Ideas for Facility Upgrades. Their suggestions include combining multiple testing chambers for what they term the ultimate challenge run. Krivak's neural patterns froze momentarily. They want to experience multiple lethal conditions simultaneously. They've already drawn up preliminary blueprints, Vernon confirmed. Dr. Walker called it the next evolution in extreme sports training. Zixtel watched as the humans continued their tests, their enthusiasm only growing with each increasingly dangerous scenario. They weren't just adapting to the challenges, they were innovating, improving, and treating the whole process like some sort of scientific adventure. We need to update the Coalition Council immediately, she decided. Our entire understanding of species development may need revision. The statistical models certainly do, the AI agreed. The humans have exceeded every established parameter. They've essentially broken the scale. Speaking of breaking things, Vernon interjected, the humans are requesting permission to test the structural limits of the quantum physics chamber. They have some theories about improving its efficiency through what they call creative stress testing. Zixtel's crystals dimmed slightly. Deny that request immediately. The last thing we need is. Too late, the AI announced. They've already begun what they're calling a spontaneous group experiment. Dr. Chen is quite excited about the potential for discovering new quantum states through what she terms controlled chaos. The monitors showed the humans cheerfully pushing the boundaries of physics while discussing plans for future research parties. They had somehow turned one of the most sophisticated testing facilities in the galaxy into their personal laboratory/playground combination. You know, Krivak observed, neural patterns swirling thoughtfully. Perhaps we should be less concerned about whether they pass our tests, and more concerned about what they'll do once they have access to Coalition technology. Zixtel finished grimly. Vernon, update our insurance coverage. Again, something tells me we're going to need it. In the testing chamber, the humans had started keeping score of their survival points, turning potentially traumatic experiences into a competitive sport. The galaxy, Zixtel realized, had absolutely no idea what was coming. Breaking the scale. The Coalition's Emergency Assessment Committee had never convened so quickly. Beings from across the galaxy gathered in the secure conference chamber, their various forms betraying universal signs of agitation as they reviewed the human evaluation data. High Counselor Zethra, a being composed of pure energy contained within an ornate crystalline matrix, pulsed with concern. Chief Evaluator Zixtel, are we to understand that the humans not only survived the quantum cognition tests, but actually improved the testing parameters? Zixtel's sensory crystals drooped slightly. Dr. Chen referred to our quantum engagement protocols as charmingly straightforward. She then proceeded to solve complex quantum equations while engaging in what she called multidimensional meditation. Meditation. The energy patterns within Zethra's matrix swirled in confusion during a quantum physics test. According to her, and I quote, "The quantum realm is more intuitive when you stop trying to make it make sense." Zixtal brought up the relevant footage. She then proceeded to explain quantum entanglement using what she called interpretive dance. The committee watched as Sarah Chen gracefully demonstrated quantum principles through movement, all while solving equations that had stumped some of the galaxy's finest minds. Around her, the other humans were taking notes and suggesting ways to incorporate her methods into educational programs. But the psychological impact. Another counselor began. "They've started a study group," Vernon interrupted, his transparent form rippling with resignation. "Commander Santos is teaching the others something called quantum yoga. They claim it helps them feel the wave function." Krivak's neural patterns sparked with scientific interest despite himself, and their problem-solving methodology during crisis scenarios. The display shifted to show Marcus Rodriguez in the engineering challenge chamber. He was calmly redesigning the facility's entire power distribution system while dealing with simulated cascade failures that would have reduced most species to panic. He said the pressure helps him think more clearly, Zixtal explained. Apparently, he developed this skill during what he called routine maintenance emergencies on Earth's underwater habitats. Underwater habitats. Several committee members expressed simultaneous shock. They build cities under their acidic oceans. They consider it an engineering challenge, Vernon confirmed. Dr. Walker is already drafting proposals to improve our facility's emergency systems based on their submarine city protocols. The footage continued, showing Emma Foster coordinating with the others during a multiple system failure simulation. Instead of showing stress, they appeared to be enjoying themselves, treating the potential catastrophe like an engaging puzzle. Their neural patterns during crisis response are unprecedented, the AI reported. They exhibit increased focus, enhanced creativity, and what appears to be genuine enthusiasm for solving complex problems under extreme pressure. "Look at these adaptation rates," Krivak noted, his neural patterns swirling with academic fascination. "They're not just learning from each experience. They're actively seeking ways to make each challenge more difficult." More difficult. Zethra's energy matrix flickered in disbelief. "The tests are designed to be at the limit of survivability." "About that," Zixtal interjected, "they've submitted a formal request to, and I quote, kick it up a notch. They believe our current maximum settings are, in their words, perfect for beginners." The committee chamber erupted in chaos. Beams of various forms and compositions expressed their shock, concern, and in some cases, terrified fascination with humanity's approach to challenges that most species considered traumatic. "There's more," Vernon added, almost apologetically. "They've started designing what they call extreme scenario training programs, using our facility as a template. Dr. Foster is particularly excited about combining environmental hazards with quantum physics challenges for what she terms the ultimate mind-body experience." The display showed the humans enthusiastically planning ways to expand the testing facility's capabilities. They had somehow transformed a sophisticated evaluation center into what they called an adventure learning complex. "They're not just adapting to our tests," Zixtal concluded. "They're reinventing them. Every challenge we present is seen as an opportunity for innovation, improvement, and what they call pushing the boundaries." High Counselor Zethra's energy patterns swirled thoughtfully. "Perhaps we need to reconsider our approach to species evaluation. If humans consider our most extreme tests to be entry-level." "They've already drafted proposals for advanced courses," the AI interrupted. "Commander Santos is particularly interested in developing what she calls crisis management team-building exercises." The committee watched as the humans continued their tests, their enthusiasm and innovation showing no signs of diminishing. They had transformed potentially traumatic experiences into opportunities for growth, learning, and what they disturbingly referred to as extreme entertainment. "We need to make a decision," Zethra announced. "The question is no longer whether humans can survive in our galaxy. The question is whether our galaxy is prepared for humans." In the testing chamber, Sarah Chen was teaching a group of junior researchers her quantum dance techniques, while Marcus Rodriguez and James Walker debated the most efficient ways to combine multiple disaster scenarios for maximum training impact. The galaxy, it seemed, was about to change forever. The only question was whether the rest of civilization could keep up with humanity's unique approach to, well, everything. Welcome to the galaxy. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Coalition had never been so crowded. Representatives from every member species packed the vast space, their attention fixed on the central platform where Chief Evaluator Zixtal prepared to deliver her final report on humanity's assessment. Her sensory crystals gleamed under the chamber's ambient lighting as she began. "Distinguished members of the Coalition, I stand before you with what may be the most unusual evaluation report in our history." The humans stood nearby, looking remarkably relaxed for beings whose species' future in galactic society hung in the balance. Sarah Chen was actually taking selfies with some curious alien delegates. "The standard evaluation protocols," Zixtal continued, "proved to be inadequate for assessing humanity's capabilities." She paused, her crystals flickering slightly. Perhaps a demonstration would be more effective. "Vernon, please show the footage." The chamber's holographic displays activated, showing scenes from the testing facility. The assembled aliens watched in stunned silence as humans transformed lethal challenges into learning experiences, deadly hazards into entertainment, and survival scenarios into opportunities for innovation. "Is that human dancing?" one delegate asked, watching Sarah Chen's quantum physics performance. The footage continued, showing Marcus Rodriguez redesigning safety systems while simultaneously surviving multiple catastrophic failures. "Note that he not only solved the crisis," Zixtal pointed out, "but also submitted patent applications for 3 new emergency response technologies." "Patents?" High Counselor Zethra's energy matrix pulsed with surprise. "During a survival test. They're very efficient multitaskers," Vernon offered weakly. The display shifted to show Commander Santos leading an impromptu workshop on extreme environment adaptation techniques. Several junior researchers from various species were actually taking notes. "As you can see," Zixtal continued, "humans don't merely survive challenges. They actively seek them out, learn from them, and then look for ways to make them more difficult. They've already submitted plans to transform our evaluation facility into what they call an extreme academy for advanced crisis management and innovation." Emma Foster stepped forward, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "We're thinking of offering specialized courses, quantum physics in variable gravity fields, engineering under catastrophic conditions, that sort of thing. Perfect for building confidence and problem-solving skills." The chamber erupted in a mixture of horrified gasps and fascinated murmurs. "But that's not all," Zixtal pressed on. "Dr. Walker, would you like to share your proposal?" James Walker grinned, pulling up his own holographic display. "Right. So we've been thinking about applying these principles to interstellar exploration. Why just survive dangerous situations when you can learn from them? We're calling it Extreme Xenoscience, Adventure Edition." The silence in the chamber grew deeper, if possible. "They want to make first contact scenarios more challenging," Vernon clarified, his form nearly transparent with stress. "For fun." Zixtal raised all her sensory appendages for attention. "Distinguished Council, we face an unprecedented situation. The humans have not only passed every test we devised, they've fundamentally changed our understanding of what's possible. They don't just adapt to adversity. They thrive on it. They don't just solve problems. They actively seek bigger ones." She gestured to the humans, who were now enthusiastically explaining their ideas to a growing crowd of fascinated and slightly terrified alien delegates. "The question before us is not whether humans meet our standards for coalition membership. The question is whether we're prepared for what they'll bring to our galaxy. Their drive to explore, to challenge limits, to transform obstacles into opportunities. It's unlike anything we've encountered. High Counselor Zethra's energy patterns swirled thoughtfully. And your recommendation, Chief Evaluator? Zixtal's crystals pulsed with determination. Accept them. Immediately. Because if we don't, they'll probably explore the galaxy anyway, and I'd rather have them as allies than meet them by surprise somewhere out there. Besides, Sarah Chen chimed in, we've got some great ideas for improving faster-than-light travel efficiency. Did you know you can optimize warp field dynamics through interpretive dance? The council chamber broke into chaos again, but Zixtal noticed something interesting. Beneath the shock and concern, there was something else in the reactions of the gathered species: curiosity, excitement, even inspiration. Perhaps that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, not just their ability to survive anything, but their enthusiasm for turning survival into advancement, crisis into opportunity, and the unknown into adventure. Very well, High Counselor Zethra announced, energy patterns blazing. Let it be recorded. Earth is hereby welcomed into the Galactic Coalition. A pause. May the universe help us all. Great. Marcus Rodriguez pulled out what appeared to be blueprints. So about those improvements to your central planetary defense systems? As the humans began enthusiastically sharing their ideas for upgrading various aspects of galactic civilization, Zixtal exchanged glances with Varanon. The galaxy would never be the same, but perhaps that was exactly what it needed. Chief Evaluator. The AI interrupted her thoughts. The humans are requesting permission to organize what they're calling an interstellar extreme sports festival to celebrate their admission. Zixtal's crystals dimmed slightly. Update the insurance. Again. And Varanon. Yes, Chief Evaluator. Start taking those quantum dance lessons. Something tells me we're all going to need to learn how to adapt. The galaxy's great adventure was just beginning, and humanity couldn't wait to show everyone how much fun it could be.